Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going over 7 bold Bengals predictions for the 2026-2027 NFL season. This is the 6th episode of the Jungle Report by at BIB4Bengals. And before we get in, so unfortunately, I recorded the video before, and for some reason, my mic did not pick up the audio for the first 3 bold predictions. I have no idea why. It suddenly started working. It suddenly started working for the 4th prediction, so I'm saving that video, and I'm just gonna predict the first 3 all over again, which is, annoying, but, I don't mind talking about the Bengals more, so, yeah. Let's get into our first prediction. So I'll only be going over 3 predictions, and then it'll cut to the second video, which will have the predictions 4 through 7. So prediction number 1 is that Shamir Stewart will have a breakout season. So I went over this in my last video, a more in-depth video. So if you guys want to understand more why I think he's going to have a breakout season, check out my 5th episode, which is the one that will be right before this one, about why I think Shamir Stewart will have a breakout season. But enough promoting. Yeah, so why do I think Shamir Stewart's going to have a breakout season? So, first off, a lot of people think he's terrible, and they're judging him off of his first season, which I think is very unjust because he was injured. He had 2 injuries in his rookie season. One was against the Jaguars in week 2. It was an ankle injury, and he was out for 4 weeks, so he barely got to experience what the NFL was like before, bam, out for 4 weeks. So that's really tough on a rookie. And then his second injury wouldn't be much further after. In week 9 against the Chicago Bears, he had a torn PCL in his left knee. Oh, I think I just remembered the name. I believe it is a torn... Oh, my gosh. I might be cooking this name. It was like a torn... cruciate ligament. I have the whole spiel in my 5th video about Shamir Stewart, so yeah. It says it there, but he had a torn PCL in his left knee against the Bears in week 9, and he was out for another 5 weeks after that. So overall, just a really tough season for a rookie. I mean, it's hard to judge someone off of them playing eight whole games in their rookie season. So yeah, that's one of the big reasons why I think he's gonna have a much better season this year. And some other reasons why I think he's going to have a breakout season is because, a player, especially in his case with missing so many games, they're never going to be as good as they are in their first season. I mean, maybe not. I mean, I'm sure there's like a few players that have probably maybe primed out in their first season. But this goes for like a bunch of football players. Like, they're usually going to develop and get better as they go in their career, and I think that's going to be the case for Shamir Stewart. He has become more mentally clarified with himself, and he's become more confident in his game. And he said that in year 1 he didn't have a full understanding of what he had to do. He wasn't mentally there, and he couldn't make plays because of that. But he's now saying that, and which I fully believe, he's slowed the game down, and he's really processed what he needs to do, and he's been attaining a bunch of information so, he can get better at his game. And, I think that he's going to have a much better season. He's being praised by all of his teammates and coaches, with defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery, praising him and being sympathetic for him because he missed 6 months of football, and that's really tough for a rookie. So, and Shamir Stewart has had a great offseason so far, and yeah, like I said, he's gained a better knowledge of the game. He knows what he really has to do now, and he's become more confident and mentally clarified. And I think that's only going to be a positive outcome in the 2026 season. So I believe Shamir Stewart will have a breakout season in year 2. Second prediction is that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins will each have over 1,000 receiving yards. So they did this back in 2021. In Jamar Chase's rookie season, he had 1,412 receiving yards, and T. Higgins had 1,091 receiving yards. So they accomplished this once already in 2021, which is 5 years ago, so a little while ago. I guess you could say 5 years ago is a while ago, but in the whole history of the Bengals, it wasn't a while ago. It was very recent. So depending on how you want to put it, it could or couldn't have been a while ago. But anyways, I think that these players, I think I can confidently say the Bengals have a top 5 or the best receiving core in the league. I mean, these players are so dominant, and they've really shown that. And Jamar Chase's latest season, he had 1,455 yards, and T. Higgins had almost 1,000 yards. I believe he was in the 800s. And going back to 2021, Tyler Boyd, wide receiver 3, who was another great wide receiver, he had 828 yards. So the Bengals almost had 3 receivers with over 1,000 yards, which is just crazy to think about. But yeah, assuming that these 2 players will be healthy for the whole season, and that Joe Burrow will be healthy for the whole season, so they have an elite quarterback to throw to all season, I am 100% confident that these players will each have 1,000 yards. And even having 3 different quarterbacks last season, they still played amazing games. And I mean, that just goes to show how flexible and how how skilled these guys are. I mean, playing with 3 different quarterbacks is not easy. You know, they didn't have Joe Burrow for like 9 games, and they still put up crazy numbers. So if they have Joe Burrow for the whole season, I don't see why they wouldn't each have 1,000 yards, and I'm very confident that they will. Moving on to our last prediction before the second video will pop up, or second clip, sorry, same video. I think the Bengals are going to have a top 10 defense. This might be the most controversial statement out of the 3 we've spoken for right now. Some may argue that statement 1 may have been the most controversial, but I think a lot of people are probably, or the people who are listening to this video, probably, sorry, I am very dehydrated. I've been talking a lot. I think the Bengals are going to have a top 10 defense. I've said this many times in previous videos. The Bengals have made a bunch of additions to their defense with Dexter Lawrence, Jonathan Allen, Boye Mafe, Brian Cook. Yeah, and like I said also, I think Shamir Stewart is going to be a great player this season. And they also already have great players like B.J. Hill, DJ Turner II, one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the NFL, which I will talk about more later in this video in one of our bold statements. Jordan Battle, Demetrius Knight Jr., all of these, not all of them, but a lot of these players I'm naming are really young, and only with time and development are they going to get better. So, I think, the Bengals are really, really going to want this season to be a good one. They're ferocious to win the Super Bowl, and I think this defense is really excited, especially players like the people who are joining the team like Boye Mafe, Jonathan Allen, Brian Cook, Dexter Lawrence. I think these players who are very skilled and knowledgeable, who have played for a few too many years, especially Jonathan Allen, and Dexter Lawrence. I think they're really going to be a helping hand for this defense, and I think they're going to inspire a lot of the younger players and people with less experience to really play football at an extreme level. Not in a bad way, in a good way, of course. And I think it's going to be a really, really good year for this Bengals defense. I think it's going to be a huge, huge turnaround. And Bengals fans, I would get excited for this one because I think the Bengals defense is going to shock everyone this year. I really do. I really do. Yeah, they've made so many improvements, and I don't see why they wouldn't perform so well, especially the D-line. The D-line has made a lot of improvements. And, rookies like Takario Davis at cornerback and Cassius Howell, second-round pick, defensive end at Texas A&M. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great defensive and offensive year for the Bengals. And, yeah, like I said, I think this Bengals defense is going to have an amazing turnaround. And they're really going to prove the whole NFL what they're made of and what they really are. And I think they're really going to shock the whole NFL nation this year. And yeah, moving on to the fourth bold prediction of the video. To me, as a Bengals fan, and I have full confidence in this team every year, I can say that down to my heart. I truly believe that the Bengals could win the Super Bowl every year. They had the talent and skill for it. But to me, this is not that bold of a prediction. I think that's me being confident. We also, I'm not going to try to act too cocky and just say, like, oh, we're going to go 17-0. Like I said, do I think we can go 17-0? Absolutely. But I think, a lot of people are like, oh, the Bengals, they're washed. They haven't been doing good. They're going to go back to, like, the 90s and early 2000s when they could barely make the playoffs. And, seeing them not have much playoff success since, like, 2023 and 2024, not a lot of people are thinking of the Bengals. That's not a team they're really threatened about. And, seeing Joe Burrow getting injured a lot of times is definitely tough, but I think Joe Burrow's going to be healthy. I think, he's put in a lot of work and effort to play this game, and I think it's really going to pay off. And like I said, as I explained in the last prediction, the Bengals have made a lot of improvements on defense, and like I said in prediction 2, the Bengals have one of the best, if not the best, receiving core in the league, and they have a top 3 quarterback in the league, if not the best quarterback in the league. And assuming everyone stays healthy, and also in one of my previous videos about predicting the Bengals season, I think they're going to go 11-6 at the least. We do have the 3rd easiest schedule in the league, which does help, but even if we had the hardest schedule in the league, I still think they could do amazing. But I think they're gonna go 11-6. They're gonna get first in the AFC North, and I think they're gonna have a deep playoff run. And I will add more onto this in the other predictions you will see soon. But yeah, I think they're gonna make a deep playoff run. I think this team, people are going to underestimate them and going to be like, oh, they haven't really done anything in the past few years. I'm not really afraid of them. But I think the Bengals are really going to show it, and, they're going to be a dominant team this year. Moving on to the 5th bold prediction, I believe DJ Turner II will have 5 interceptions. I have constantly talked about this. One of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league, in my opinion. He was 2nd in the league in passes defended, right behind Mike Jackson, Panthers cornerback. Shout out to FTH4 Panthers. And the Percast. The Sir Percast. Go check out his channel. Makes a lot of Panthers content, entertaining videos. But like I said, DJ Turner II, I think, he's been improving every year, and he really showed it last year. And I think he's only going to improve from here. I think, a lot of people underestimate him. 5'11". I believe he's 5'11". Let me double check that. I will double check that right now, but I believe he's not the biggest cornerback. Yes, he is 5'11". Yeah, 5'11". Yeah. Okay. So he's obviously not the biggest cornerback in the league, but I don't think that's stopping him, and that doesn't make him any less. I don't think that makes him any less determined to go out there and show what he's got, and I think he's really, really gonna prove it to everyone this season. I think he's gonna pop off with 5 interceptions and a bunch of tackles and passes defended, but mainly 5 interceptions. I think that's what's going to catch people's attention, and they're going to realize, oh, this cornerback knows how to play football. He is definitely a dangerous cornerback, and we have to look out for him. I think he's going to prove that to everyone this year, and I think he's already done that in my opinion, but he's just he had 2 interceptions, which it's not that bad, but it's not like a performance that makes everyone go, wow, oh my gosh, he's amazing. But yeah, I think he's going to really prove it to everyone this year. Number 6 of our bold predictions, I think Joe Burrow, at the very minimum, will be top 3 in MVP candidates. Like I said, at the very minimum, I believe he can very well get MVP. He's shown MVP performances before. In 2021, he had 4,611 passing yards. I think like 34 touchdowns. He also had 8.9 yards per pass as an average, which is incredible. And that wasn't even his most throwing yards in the season. In 2024, he had 4,900 and something passing yards. I'm going to look that up right now also. Joe Burrow, 2024 passing yards. 4,918. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, this is an MVP performance to me. 4,918 passing yards, 43 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions with a passing rating of 108.5. I mean, this guy's insane. The only thing that's been holding him back is, unfortunately, not being able to stay healthy due to just unluckiness with getting injured. I mean, I don't think he's not getting injured because he's frail and he's not putting in the work. He's obviously putting in the work. He's not frail. He's very strong. But, he had a very, very bad injury against the Washington Commanders a while back, and he had to be carted off the field. He had turf toe this year by just getting clobbered by a bunch of defenders. Not his fault either. It's just unlucky. It's unfortunate. And if he can stay healthy this season, which I hope and I think he will, then I think he will easily be able to get top 3 in MVP votes at the very minimum. And he could very well get MVP. I mean, he's a 2-time comeback player of the year. He's dealt with these injuries, and he's still shown how good he is. He's gotten comeback player of the year twice, which is just amazing. And I think he's only going to get better. He's still pretty young for a quarterback. I mean, he's 29. He hasn't even hit 30 yet, so I think he has a lot of time left as a quarterback, and he's clearly shown that, he was frustrated with the defense, but he has now shown his happiness for, the improvements that Zach Taylor has made on the defense, and, with football allegations, him saying, oh, he doesn't enjoy football anymore. I mean, I don't think that's true. I think he still enjoys football. I don't blame him for saying those things because, your defense isn't performing well. You're getting injured a lot of times. You can't play the sport you love. I mean, that's got to be tiring. That's got to be tough on you. But he's shown his happiness. He showed his dominance, and he even said that he doesn't see a world where he's not playing in Cincinnati. So he clearly loves the Bengals, and I think he has a lot of time left with them. And like I said, sky's the limit for him. Our last and not surprising bold prediction for the Cincinnati Bengals 2026 season is that they're going to win the Super Bowl. Everyone who's watching this video is probably going to hate me for saying it, and they're probably thinking, oh, he's just clip farming. There's no way he actually believes this. But when I say the Bengals can win the Super Bowl, from the bottom of my heart, I don't know if I'm getting too serious and too crazy here, but I'm so passionate about the Bengals. I can put it on my mom's life that everyone I love, that I truly believe the Cincinnati Bengals can win the Super Bowl. I'm 100,000% confident they can win the Super Bowl. I think I'm kind of going crazy here, so I apologize, and I'm going to try to calm down a little bit. But I know the Bengals can win the Super Bowl. I know they can. They've come close 3 times. I mean, in 1981, they were down 20-0 at halftime against the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and they almost made an insane comeback. In 2021 against the Rams, they had a lead. They were up 20-13. They were so close to winning, but it slipped out of their hands. And I deeply, deeply know the Bengals can win the Super Bowl. And if there's any year to do it, it's this year. They've made so much improvements to their defense, and their offense, their roster-wise, has stayed with the same amount of talent as they have every year. And assuming that everyone's going to be healthy, this team can win the Super Bowl. I know they can. And I know they have what it takes. And I would love to see them do that. And I know they can. And I have 110% confidence that they can and that they will. And yeah, that is my last my last bold prediction for the Cincinnati Bengals. 7 bold predictions. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you thought was the most controversial prediction. Like I said, I'm 100% confident in all of these bold predictions. I know all of them can be achieved by the Bengals. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. More Bengals content to come. I've really been enjoying the podcast and, speaking about my favorite team in the NFL. And it's just been a really good time. I hope you guys are enjoying the comments, or I hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you have any video suggestions, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good Monday. Monday's finally over. Honestly, not even that bad of a day to me. I think Tuesday is worse than Monday, in my opinion. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great Monday. And yeah, Hoo Day.